What's going on, guys? Thank you again for tuning into another episode of Healing Through Transparency, Broken Men. So we're back with another episode. Today we're talking about um, rejection and lust. It's going to be a heavy topic, but not heavy so much in the sort of the vibe. It'll just be heavy in the form of the conversation. That's where I'm getting at. So I have my special guest here. I'm going to introduce him shortly. But I just want to give a quick introduction if you're new here. So the reason why I decided to do, well, not me, first and foremost, the reason why God allowed me the opportunity to present broken men, truly because I was once a broken man, still in process of healing, and I just wanted to open up the space because I've noticed a lot of people who would say, "Where are the kingdom men? Where are the why are men are not showing up for their roles as fathers?" And especially this being the month of fathers, right? I wanted to just honor fathers really and honor men. And just showcase why we're broken through transparent conversations. And so I have a brother here who's 15 years old, and this is something that I've never seen before, So I decided like this has to happen. I need to talk to the youth because one day he's gonna be my age, and so it's like who was there for him at that time. I didn't have somebody at 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? So for me to be present and just hear his perspective on life will definitely open up a whole new world for all of us. And so that's my key here. I grew up in a home where I was still a broken kid. I didn't have a healthy motherhood. And Natalie, which is his mother, she's tuned in tonight and she showed great examples of what a healthy home should look like. And so there'll be a great dynamic here. I'll be talking about some of my past as a broken kid, and he'll be talking of his present really as a healed kid, a restoring kid. So yeah, it's gonna be great. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce my guest, Elijah Fikes. You welcome to open up your mic and the camera, bro.
Hello,
Welcome.
everybody.
Awesome, man. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, bro. Um, so how's your day been going so far? Before we even get into it, everything been
My
good?
day's been amazing, actually.
Awesome. What'd you do today?
I went to summer camp for the arts. We're doing a showcase at next week. We're doing a showcase next week for the arts.
Dope, dope, man. All right, cool. All right. So let's get into the conversation, bro. I wanted to, because we have a lot to unpack. And so I'm gonna start off like this, just to keep it simple. What
Mhm.
does your life look like for you right now in 2021? Because for me, growing up, things were completely different. The internet was not the same. Social media was not the same. The topics were really not the same. Um, so yeah, if you could talk a little bit about that, like what's school like, your friendships, relationships, things like that.
Right. So my life in 2021, it seems a little dark because we're all going through some times. And I believe that like in 2021, my relationships are fine. I'm doing fine. I'm just trying to not survive. I'm just trying to live life because we shouldn't be trying to survive in life, if that's clear. We should be living life.
Can you talk about that a little bit more? What's your perspective on that? Like, what's the difference between living and surviving for your age?
Right. So surviving is like going, to me, it's like going past the boundary. And I feel like you shouldn't be past the boundary to survive, if that makes sense. So you shouldn't be surviving. You shouldn't be having to like ask people for money. You shouldn't be having to live in a car. You shouldn't be having to put your relationships in the way of what you're doing. And I feel like you shouldn't be just destroying things, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to be clear.
Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like surviving is not living. It's just simply not living. Living life is doing what you want, the way you want, with who you want.
Mm,
Hmm.
wow. So do you have an example of a time that you went through where you were surviving, and when did you come to see, I guess, the realization, man, I'm on survival mode. I need to just be living.
Right. So I was in survival mode when I started middle school because I was the quiet kid. I didn't feel like making any friends. I was shy in front of everybody. And I broke out of that survival mode when I started opening up to the school, which is Utopian Academy for the Arts.
Mm,
And they said that it was a safe space. So I just trust them and I trust that they kept their word that it was going to be a safe space in the school.
yeah. Okay. Wow. Man, that's powerful. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and so with all the surviving, were there any? Because everything, everything in life, uh, a reaction, yeah, like I think the cause and effect, right? So let's just use the cause and effect terminology. So, um, what has happened in your life that led you to experiences with lust and rejection? Like, did it start off in school? Did it start off in survival mode?
It actually did start off in school. So that's
Mm-hmm.
basically where my masturbating journey started. Everybody in school was talking about a lot of sexual stuff on the bus, in classrooms when teachers weren't hearing what the students were talking about at all. And I was like, I didn't know what was going on. And then like people in school said that I was gay, and I didn't even know what gay meant. So I had to look it up. And over the past years, the definition just kept on changing. But to me, gay is gonna always mean happy. Because in their definition, they think that I had sex with another boy, which
Mm,
doesn't make any sense at all to me.
right.
And so I was curious. I wasn't horny. I wasn't desiring any lust. I just feel like I had a desire for connection with boys and men because I know my father wasn't like physically in the house because I was surrounded by a lot of feminine figures. So my dad wasn't like in the house, but like me and my dad are cool. Like we're buddies and we connected virtually, but like he wasn't physically there. And then sometimes he would come to visit. But it was not, but like dealing with pornography and masturbation, it was nothing sexual at all because in my mind the devil always tries to make things sexual because if you say like a person is attractive, like if you say a man is attractive, it doesn't have to be sexual. That just means that person is attractive.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, man. Um, okay. So your experience sounds like you did some self discovery. You said you was
Right.
curious.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you come across lust in your self discovery?
I came across lust in my self-discovery like through school. Like people were talking about it, so I was just
Mm,
interested in it, and then I tried it out, and then I feel like I became too comfortable with it because it's like I didn't want it, but my flesh, because our flesh is weak, but our spirit is strong. So my flesh was just hungry for that sexual desire and all that sexual activity that people are doing around the world. And I didn't feel comfortable because after I did the thing, I didn't feel comfortable with it at all. It's just like I just needed to release it because I'm like the type of person that tries to keep the peace in a situation. And so I hold other people's problems. And then when I hold it in, I masturbate and then it comes out. And then I just feel guilty for doing something, basically.
man, that's very relatable because I also took on that type of thing. I also dealt with a lot of stress, taking on other people's problems, and just having a stressful environment altogether. When you're not opening up, you're not having these type of conversations. You don't have anybody to talk to. It's like we need to find a way to release, right? It's
Right.
just so. Um, I guess my question is, what? So, can you tell us some of the things you were experiencing, like some of the stress that you were experiencing, that would cause you to be like, I just need this form of release?
Right. So it's basically when I'm around a masculine environment because I remember when I was in when I was in the Steve Harvey mentorship program, it was just all boys. I didn't know how to communicate with boys at all. So it was like a really stressful experience because I didn't know how to talk to boys. I only knew how to talk to women because I grew up around women. And it's not that what the world says like men are always aggressive, because they're not aggressive. I know that there's a lot of men and boys that are just like me. It's just that I just don't feel comfortable in that type of environment because I'm new to that environment. And so that's why like the masturbation and pornography, it's usually it's usually between two men, because it's the devil always tries to make it sexual, but really, I just want a connection with men. I just want to understand their experiences and what they're also going through, and to just basically connect, because it's important to connect in this world.
And do you feel like if you had that connection with men, that situation could have been avoided?
That absolutely, that situation would have been avoided a long time ago if like I was around more men.
And what do you feel like men would have taught you that would have helped you avoid the situation? So, like, I understand, like, things like that is because we're trying to fill a void. So, what void do you think that would have filled for you?
I would feel a more masculine side, because we all have different sides. We have a masculine side and a feminine side. So I was more comfortable leaning into my feminine side because I learned a lot of what girls were doing and all that stuff. Like I didn't do it, but like I was more comfortable in that side. And when like other men or boys say to men up, like I know there's not a lot of boys that like do that, but like the boys that I've experienced, they're like more comfortable with their masculine side, and I'm more comfortable with my feminine side. And they thought that was quote unquote gay.
So, to me, that just explains, that just lets me know that a lot of men out there, especially in your age group, um, their masculine side is fragile because I know from experience growing up, like, it's like you can't hug on you can't hug on your bro for too long. It's like it's like no homo, or what I'm saying. So it's just,
Right.
yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And so, have you dealt with any rejection from
Kinda and kinda not.
Okay.
I just basically blended in with the crowd, basically.
Mm,
Like if I was in a feminine environment, I would just be all in for the energy. But if I was in a masculine environment, I would just kind of blend in and pretend like I wasn't there at all, like a shadow, basically.
got you. And so when you say blend in, is it like I can't open up and be who I want to be, or is it just like what does that look like?
It basically looks like what it looks like to me is that I just can't express myself to men, and I'm just basically quiet, and I just don't do anything at all. I just watch and observe.
Mm, okay. So pretty much like suppressing
Right.
in a sense, right? Okay. Yeah, man. It's tough. Wow.
It is.
Um, yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that, man. So how did you? Well, I was gonna say how did you manage your emotions, but well, how do you manage your emotions now?
I manage my emotions through prayer and
Mm,
asking God to like speak through that person, because I don't know what they're dealing with, because I can't just quickly judge somebody because of the way they act or the way they look. I have to understand their point of view if they're open to that. So I can't just quickly judge somebody off of their appearance or off of their emotions. So what I did is just spiritually connect with God and pray and ask God, Lord, just get your child, get your child. Yeah. Yes.
okay. Yeah, definitely, man. And so now, with your experience with lust, right? How has lust affected the relationship with girls and your mom?
Oh, speaking of that, when my mom found out,
Mm-hmm.
like I thought I was gonna be in trouble, but I wasn't in trouble at all, because my mom basically understood what I was going through. And she was like the main one that held me accountable when I was going through that. Like she asked, "Do you need Elijah? Do you need to be held accountable?" And I said, "Yes, yes,"
Wow.
or "No, if I have it under control."
Wow. So when you say have it under control, how do you know you have it under control?
Because like I don't think about those thoughts anymore. Like they come sometimes, but at the same time they do and they don't, and then they do and they don't. Like it happens because there's like something that triggers me and then it just happens. And if there's something that doesn't trigger me, then it just doesn't happen at all.
Um, Man, that's really wise. So for your age, you already know your triggers. Um, a lot of a lot of people your age don't know their triggers. So for people your age watching, how would you help them identify their triggers?
I would help them identify their triggers by helping them find the root of the problem. Like, so for example, if a girl was like in a masculine environment and she was basically yearning or having a desire for like a feminine environment. That's why people always say like lesbians, like a girl, like really they don't have sex. It's just that a girl just wants a connection with girls, just like I want a connection with men. It's not that at all. Or if or if I am surrounded by men and I want a connection with girls. Like it could be that experience as well. I don't know what other people are going through.
Right.
That's just between them and God.
Amen. Yeah.
And when I was going through that lustful experience, I just wanted to be a kid. I didn't want to learn about that stuff when I was 12, 13, 14.
Right. And so, what do you? So you believe that it was your environment, like the kids on the bus saying these things, that made you just start to experiment? Was that what it is?
Yes, because teachers were finding out that people were talking about it and I'm like, what is it about? I was just really curious basically.
Mm, okay. Man. Wow. Okay. Man, so that means it's interesting because like if most people when we have these conversations that's literally the root is the environment of our schools, the school bus like you mentioned, and sometimes it's family. For me at least in my case it was family. It was like I don't know if you know my story, but I was already molested 4 times by the age of 9, and so from early on it was planted in me by family, and then I would go to school and still hear about these conversations. So yeah, man, I'm glad for you. I'm appreciative of your transparency. Um, and so now I wanted to talk about the dynamics of the home.
Mhm.
How long did it take you before you told your mom? Well, you said she found out, right? So how long did
Yeah,
it? Yeah, what did talk to us about that? Like, how did that look? Well, not detailed, but like, how did that
okay.
look as far as like like when she found out like the whole situation? Walk us through.
Basically, when she found out the whole situation, like I used to hide it and go into a different room or something or a different part of the house so nobody would find out because that was just between me, myself, and I, and me battling my own demons.
How long did
So basically,
Sorry to cut you up, but how long did you go through that by yourself?
I went through that by myself for like a good 2 months, 1 to 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and continue. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
just wanted to
oh,
make
it's
sure.
okay. So I've been going through that alone for like a good 1 to 2 months. And I'm
Hmm.
still going through it today. I just got to
Wow.
still keep on fighting and fighting. Like the devil's not going to stop until he gets what he wants, but he's not going to get what he wants, first of
Amen.
all. And I just got to keep on fighting because once it's there and the devil's not going to stop. So I just got to keep on praying, got to keep on not trying to go backwards and just keep on going forward.
Amen. It's great, man. And so, what advice would you give to any kids right now dealing with rejection?
So dealing with rejection, I would give the people the advice that I would give them is to just go to God because He's the answer and read the Bible because He is the Bible basically because He's been giving everybody the knowledge that they need because that's how I learned that pornography and masturbation was wrong. I just went into the Bible and I searched what is masturbation, what is pornography, what is all of this. I'm just so confused. So I would just say read the Bible because it's the answer. Like it's no pressure because that's between you and God. I don't know what you and God's relationship is. That has nothing to do with me. I just need to focus on my relationship with God. So I would just say strengthen your relationship with God. Like whatever God says to do, you do it, and whatever God says not to do, you don't do it.
Amen, man. Amen.
Mhm.
Amen. So, bro, I just encourage you, even after this conversation, just continue it with your peers. Like, it's really important that we create the safe space for men to talk about stuff like this. So I don't know if you have any, brothers in your life that are willing to be this vulnerable and have this conversation. But I know we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. By me sharing my testimony, I've seen it open so many other hearts. Men who will be so like so tough on the block, all the other stuff, and when you share your story, they're like, "Wow, like yo, I've been through that too," and they just got tears in their eyes. So man, I just commend you, bro. Like your story is powerful. What you've overcome is powerful. Just continue the conversation. Um, and so with that being said, before we close out, guys, I just want to open up for Q&A. If anybody has any questions, you can drop it in the chat. Come off of you can unmute yourself and you can come on camera if you want. Yeah, now would be the best time. We got a question. What do you do when you fall short sometimes?
I don't wait. It says, "What do you do when you fall short sometimes? How do you not feel shamed?"
Yeah.
So sometimes what I do is fall short is whenever I keep on doing it, I just pray to God that He nourishes my body because in the Bible, your flesh is weak and your spirit is strong.
Yeah.
So I just pray and I strengthen my spirit and I weaken my flesh because it's already weak. So I
Yeah.
just trust in God and I ask God for the strength to just keep on going and not to go backwards.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I'll answer that too. For me, I make sure I have people in place that I can trust to be open and vulnerable with. I'd open up to my wife and just explain to her like how ashamed I feel, and she would just love on me and not condemn me. It's good to have people around you that can just love on you, even through your process, because it's, like you said, it's a journey, right? Like the first thing that came out of your mouth, which shocked me, was that you said it's your journey with masturbation. Like like you understand that this is a process. It's not something you're gonna overcome overnight. Once the seed is planted, it's really hard to uproot that thing. So yeah, man, that's a beautiful question, and I love the answer you gave.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? If masturbation is not about sex, what is it?
If masturbation is not about sex, deeply think that it's about you and your experience because we all come from different experiences because God is the only one who knows that you're going through those different experiences and nobody else does unless you open it to other people. So I just feel like it's about you and what you desire. It's all about desire. It doesn't have to be sexual. The devil always tries to make things sexual to block what masturbation truly is.
Hmm. Okay, that's a good answer. And so, just a quick question: what was your desires during those times? Because obviously, it's like you said, the devil tends to magnify or hyper focus a situation and makes you want to release differently than you should. So, what was some of the things that you desired that made you go into that?
I basically just desired masculine connection with men, connection with boys my age. And when I did have connection with different boys my age, they just basically like the same things as me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would want to have connections with people that like don't have the same things that I like to do because I want to know what other men like to do.
Right. Yeah.
Because I can't just be comfortable connecting with the same men over and over and over again. I have to I have to be curious of what other men like so I could
Wow.
grow my masculine side.
Wow, man. So if you were not able, so that's the thing about it. Goes right back to the discovery that we were talking about. Like, you you was doing self discovery because you was trying to discover in other people and other men at least. And because you weren't getting nothing different, you try to find it in something that would look like it was a good thing at the time. But yeah, wow, man. Yeah, that's deep. That is really deep. Well said, bro. All right, guys. Well, we're about to go recap on IG Live. It is 9 o'clock. It hit the 9 o'clock hour. This was an amazing conversation, bro. Thank you so much for your transparency. Do you actually have time for IG Live?
Yes, I do. And thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, man. Truly, it's my pleasure, bro. All right, y'all. So this was another episode of Healing Through Transparency. Another powerful conversation. I'm just honored, man. It's so grateful.